Name's Dave and welcome to MojoPlays, and today we'll be looking at 7 fan remakes better than the originals. Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Not every legendary video game has aged well, not in all corners at least. Luckily, when a studio neglects its IP, we can count on fans like this to reintroduce them to the world with a coat of fresh paint. First up we have The Elder Scrolls Renewal Skywind.
Great House Dagos was the pinnacle of culture, wealth, and strength. But that was a long time ago.
Looking to revisit the original Elder Scrolls games while we wait for the next installment? Tired of beating Skyrim over and over again? Well, you might want to check out Skywind, a remake of The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind that utilizes the creation engine. Under the banner TES Renewal, Skywind aims to rebuild Morrowind and making it play a little more like Skyrim. The developers even plan to introduce original questlines to beef up the game's content. We say plan because, well, the remake isn't released yet. Although from what we've seen so far, it's absolutely stunning. And if you're interested in lending a hand, they're always looking for volunteers.
You have honorably executed the writ on Serene Satis. The payment and honor for this writ is yours.
Next is GoldenEye Source. Due to a web of legal and licensing agreements, it's highly unlikely that we'll see the N64 GoldenEye return anytime soon. Luckily, there is still a way to play the N64 classic while having access to modern controls. Enter GoldenEye Source, a perfectly recreated version of Rare's FPS featuring online multiplayer, updated visuals, and additional maps based on various Bond films. Yes, even that cheat of a character Oddjob is included. What's more impressive is how the visuals are balanced between detailed and simplistic, making it feel like a straight-up remaster. It's going to be a long time before we get an official 007 game, but at least we have this faithful remake to keep us occupied. The Dark Mod. Since the lackluster 2014 reboot of Thief, it appears as though the franchise won't be back for quite some time. Luckily, a small team known as Lookingglass Studios has created a free, open source game that replicates the classic Thief gameplay we fell in love with 2 decades ago.
This ends now.
The Dark Mod was originally a conversion mod for Doom 3, before it became its own game in 2013, boasting hundreds of missions created by fans and continuous support from Lookingglass. So if you're feeling nostalgic or craving a good stealth game, the Dark Mod will do more than suffice.
Oh, this'll be over quickly.
Black Mesa.
I can't!
Valve hasn't been exactly keeping up appearances when it comes to software. While Team Fortress 2 and Portal still look decent today, Half-Life on the other hand looks like a relic from the 90s. However, you can play it with updated visuals and controls thanks to the people at Crowbar Creative, who not only have made the game look prettier, but also added more to the game's narrative.
No, as long as we follow standard insertion procedures, everything will be fine.
I don't know how you can say that.
Valve was so impressed by Crowbar's work they've actually allowed the team to sell the remake on Steam, which is somewhat surprising given how protective other companies tend to get, as we'll see later on. Renegade X. Released all the way back in 2002, Command & Conquer Renegade was a promising but very underwhelming entry in the series. The series is traditionally a real-time strategy game, but this was a first-person shooter, with incredibly stupid AI and a campaign that's as heavily scripted as a sales advocate begging you to sign up for a rewards club. Also, even by 2002 standards, these graphics were incredibly ugly. Surprisingly, a small team known as Totem Arts was patient enough to go and clean up this mess, thus creating Renegade X. Originally posing as a mod for Unreal Tournament 3, Renegade X made the campaign more exciting before it went and amped up the multiplayer. What's even more shocking is that EA encouraged Totem Arts instead of getting their legal team involved in filing DMCAs. Wow, EA was actually the good guys for once. Good on you guys. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer Fan Game. While Mario Kart and Crash Team Racing were dominating their respective consoles in the late 90s, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer was storming the PC, Dreamcast and N64. Unfortunately, in this day and age, EA doesn't seem to hold any interest for a Star Wars racing game, although audiences won't be completely starved, as one fan named Rob Jin recreated the Tatooine track in Unreal 4. It may not be a full build with several tracks and playable characters missing, but the work on display here is still impressive, from the detailed environments to the pod racers' animations. AM2R, which stands for Another Metroid 2 Remake. As if Pokemon Uranium wasn't enough, another fan game was released and saw universal praise. AM2R The Return of Samus, a remake of the original Metroid 2 on the Game Boy. AM2R enhanced its official predecessor by introducing elements that were introduced in later titles, such as the map system and omnidirectional aiming. The level of detail was jaw-dropping, especially when you consider the entire game was built by one person named Milton Guasti. Sadly, all this work would fade away when Nintendo filed a DMCA against Guasti, and Mario's Fortress would launch its own Metroid 2 remake the following year. There was still a happy ending for Guasti. Today, he's working at Moon Studios as a level designer for Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Check out these other great clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos straight away.